Hi, welcome back to another episode on the Healthy Wisdom series with Dr. Jen Chen. Healthy Wisdomers, emotions are what give our existence meaning. Would you agree with that? I mean, they do make our lives worth living and perhaps at times worth ending. Now, have you had a significant event in your life, such as the death of a loved one? Can you take a moment to recall how you felt at that time of loss? Maybe you experienced some heaviness in your chest, some shortness of breath, such as difficulty in breathing, maybe a lack of energy, which caused you to lay in bed for several days on end, and maybe no motivation to do anything at all. Now, when you're struck by grief, our emotions tend to trigger these distinctive bodily changes and behaviors, such as the ones that we listed above, right? And grief is a long-lived emotion from perhaps some prolonged sadness and or detachment. And that's usually associated with the lung in traditional Chinese medicine. Now, since the lung's major function is respiration, it brings in energy into the body and helps distribute to the rest of the body. They also regulate the sweat glands and provide moisture to the skin. So therefore, symptoms of lung imbalances or dysfunction will result in shortness of breath, shallow breathing, sweating, maybe some fatigue, cough, frequent cold and flu symptoms, dry skin, as well as excessive crying. Now, did you connect that the imbalances that I just listed above are the same bodily responses that we talked about when we were talking about the grieving event for that loved one? So, you know how when you cry, your nose probably will get plugged up? Now, I always wondered how I could go from breathing freely and instantaneously get congested within like seconds. Well, it turns out that the lung actually opens into the nose, or vice versa. And when the lung is strong, we can breathe easily, and our sense of smell will be very sharp. But on the contrary, when our lungs are not doing so well, congestion will set in, and we will get a runny nose, and therefore it'll be difficult to breathe. That kind of makes sense. Now that we know more about the relationship between the lung, its role in the body functions, as well as grief, there's a few things I'd like to share with you that hopefully will help you during a difficult emotional challenge. Number one, I want you to acknowledge how you're feeling. It's common for people to avoid unpleasant emotions and or overwhelming ones, but keep in mind that once we do face it head on and deal with them, we can then start letting them go and move on. Number two, don't judge. It's harmful to judge your own feelings because quite often there's shame attached to it. To be honest, there's nothing wrong with feeling frustrated, angry, or sad. So try to step outside of these feelings, observe it, take a third-person perspective on it so that you can better let it pass. Now, because grief is associated with the lung, the best way to release it is actually through deep breathing exercises, which is what I would like you to explore more of in the near future, such as breathing into the diaphragm and filling your lung to capacity. I mean, I definitely noticed that most of us have grown up not knowing. I mean, how to breathe is a very basic function, but how many of you can probably agree with me that we've never been taught how to breathe? We just kind of were born and, we have that innate ability to breathe, but a lot of us tend to shallow breathe most of the time. And in the modern day, I mean, we have access to a lot of really good online resources. So meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, and any type of internal arts will probably give you a good way to practice deeper breathing, because most of us, like I said, we tend to focus on the shallow breathing. And, in the environment that we tend to be in today, this day and age, is more stressful than relaxing. And therefore, it almost is conducive to shallow breathing that then doesn't bring our lungs to their capacity, and it does decrease the function. And therefore, when we are going through moments of deep emotional challenge, we're not able to actually bring in enough oxygen to actually be able to follow through and be able to, I guess, cope better. And last but not least, get a chiropractic adjustment. I mean, any prolonged emotion that results in tightening of musculature and restricted joint mobility, and in this case with grief, your ribcage area will tend to get really tight and stiff, as well as your neck and shoulders. It will become really stiff and achy as well. This tension will get released and mobility will get restored when you allow the body to be able to move better and as a result, breathe better. Now, I'm even tempted to imply further that with a chiropractic adjustment, you'll also be able to let go of some of that deeply stagnant sadness through the rebalancing of your autonomic nervous system. So why not take a little break for yourself and be kind and show some self-love by doing the above 4 things that I've suggested? And, give me some feedback. Let me know how it goes. Well, I certainly hope that this episode has given you a better understanding of grief and how it's connected to our body, as well as its main associated organ, the lung. Our emotional lives are just as important as our physical ones, so staying balanced in all aspects is important to our overall health and well-being. All right, Healthy Wisdomers, it's been a pleasure to once again share this knowledge with you today. Please take a minute to subscribe, follow, and rate this episode, and invite your friends to join us on this journey. Remember, you are amazing, and there's no one else like you. This is the Healthy Wisdom Series with Dr. Jen Chen. I'll catch you guys on the next.